Hello, welcome to GeneralHandGrenade's YouTube channel. My name isn't really GeneralHandGrenade, it's actually Brian, but us in the Axis and Allies online community, we make up names for ourselves, and it's a security thing, right? Like we don't want people showing up at our houses, right? So we all have these names, and because the game is about World War II, we try to have those names based on something. So I have nothing to do with generals or hand grenades, but that's just my silly little name that I use online. Um, so if you're watching this video, it's either because you're somebody who watches my channel regularly and would like to uh, find something. If you're like me, then people ask you, what can I get you for Christmas? And I don't want a sweater. I've got lots of sweaters. What I want is something for my Axis and Allies board, right? To play the game that I love, and so people ask me that. My mom asked me, or my kids ask me, or somebody, and they don't know what you have and what you don't have, or whatever. So I'm making this video so that displaying a lot of the things that we could get for our games, and telling people how to get them and stuff like that, so that if somebody asks you that, then you can just give them a link to this video, and then they can go there, and they can pick something for you. And if you're new to this channel, if somebody's given you a link to this channel, then I welcome you here. Um, I'm like an elf for you today. I live in northern British Columbia, which is probably a lot closer to the North Pole than you are, although that's not guaranteed. Maybe if you're from Whitehorse in the Yukon, then you're a lot closer than me, but there's not many people that live there. So then I probably live closer to the North Pole, and I will be your elf for the day. And what I'm going to do is you want to buy something for this person, and um, they love this Axis and Allies game, and that's what they want, is something to do with that game. And but you don't know what to get. I mean, if I didn't play the game, then I wouldn't know what to get. If it's a different game and somebody wants something for that, then I don't know what to get them, right? So I'm going to help you out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to display an item, and I'm gonna give it a number. Like the first one will be number one, and I'm going to tell you where to get it. I'm going to tell you something about it. Maybe give you a link. A link is going to be in the description box, which is below the video, just down below the video. It's going to say show more. So you click on the thing where it says show more, and then this whole thing will expand, and it'll have number one, and it'll say what number one is, and number two, and what number two is, and there will be links in most of them, not all of them, but in most of them, the link will be in blue. The writing is normally in black, but it'll be in blue, and you just have to click on that with your mouse, and that will take you to uh, to the web page where you can buy that item. I'll tell you how much it's going to be and everything there, and you can just go ahead and make your purchase. Um, I'm not going to show you any purchases for soap on a rope, though. We don't want any soap on a rope. We want something for our Axis and Allies game. So anyway, I stand behind everything that I'm going to show you to. Some of them are from websites, that are companies, but some of the items that I'm going to show you are just from friends of mine, people that I've met in the community, and even met, actually all the people that I'm going to show you stuff from, I've met in person, and they're real people, and I've bought things from them, and they're not going to stiff you. I stand behind them. If they stiff you, then I will pay you back your money, I promise. But these are good people, and they love the game like I do, and like the person you're buying the item for. And so they've gone to the trouble of making a map, or a deck of cards, or some dice or something. Another guy, he made Flightstands, and I'm going to show you all of that stuff, and how to get in touch with these people, and how much the item is going to cost. And like I said, these people, you can trust them. They're not just somebody that's going to take your money and run away. Okay, so I'll try. Another thing I'll try to do is put the time in the description blocks below the video. Like it'll say number one, this is the item, this is the price, and I'll put the time in the video where you can just click to, so that you don't have to watch the whole video. Because as the people who regularly watch my channels know, my videos can go on and on and on, right? So you can just click to that item, because what I would like them to do is give you some choices. Say like, I like number 1, number 7, number 14, and number 22. So go ahead and pick one of those, right? So you can go look in the description box, and the number should be in blue as well. Like if you click on that number, say 2214, then you click on that number, it should take you to 2214 in this video, and that's where I'll start talking about that item, that particular item. And then you can go there and you can buy one of those 4 items, or all 4 of them, it's up to you, based on price and how much you like that person, whether they've been naughty or nice this year. You can just go and it's up to you, right? And I'll give you different ways that you can purchase these things, because you can purchase them, or you can purchase gift cards as well. I'll tell you where you can get gift cards and things like that. And items, not every item that I show you is an item that you can buy that way. So I will let you know all the different ways that you can purchase that item and where to go to get them. So hopefully this is helpful to you. This is General Hand Grenade, Santa's little helper for the day. So let's get started, shall we? We'll just get going. I'll take you into the next segment of the video. Okay, so have you got your pen and paper ready so that you can write these things down? Okay, this is the item number 1, and this is it's not just one game, it's 2 games, and I'll tell you why. See, this Europe 1940 2nd edition. That's one half of the game. It's actually its own game, and you can buy it that way. And here, this is Pacific 1940. Now you'll notice that it doesn't say 2nd edition up here like this one does. And that's because I bought this one years ago. And I wanted to show you these 2 for a reason. It's unlikely that you will see one of these ones that's 1st edition game, but you don't want that one. You don't get all the pieces, and the rules are not exactly the same. I mean, you can play both of them. I use the Pacific board, but I found myself having to go out and to keep buying more pieces because you don't get all the pieces, and so the cost adds up. It's unlikely you'll find that one, like I said, but I mean, if you're going to eBay or something, then you might be getting a second-hand one, right? So anyway, the reason both of them is item number 1 is because you put 2 of them together. There's 2 boards in each one, so it's 4 boards together, and the game is about 6 feet wide and I think 32 or 33 inches high. So it's a huge game, and the person needs a table big enough to play it on, of course. But it's the game to play. I mean, this is the one where we have all the arguments online over, for the most part. I mean, most of the arguments. This is the culmination of 30-something years of this game is these 2 games right here, and you want to buy them both together. Like I said, like if you just buy one of them and you buy the Europe game, and then you tell the person, well, when you've got the money, you can go buy yourself the Pacific game. That's like a man buying his wife one diamond earring and telling her, well, when you get the money, you can go out and buy yourself the other diamond earring. Like, it's just not cool, okay? You can do that. Don't get me wrong. You can do that. And maybe they already have one game. Maybe they already have the Europe game, and all they need now is the Pacific game. But this is item number 1, okay? And I looked on Amazon before I started this segment of the video, because that's one place you can buy it. There isn't one specific website, a games website, that I know of. I mean, there's probably lots of websites on the internet where you can buy games, right? But Amazon is just one place. So if you had to buy it online, then the Europe game on Amazon.com in the United States was $70, and the Pacific game was $68. In Canada, the Europe game was $118, and the Pacific game was $100. So, like if you're ordering from Canada, you don't want to order it from the United States, because there's a huge fee that they charge you for delivering it across the border that Amazon does and that eBay does. So beware of that. But I tell you though, the best way to buy these games, and I'm going to show you a bunch of games here, okay? The best way to buy these games is from your local game store. That way you're not paying any shipping fees. Like all of these games that you see here, except for this one here, not the America game, but all of these other games here, I bought locally in a store that's only a few blocks from my house here. So that would be my recommendation for these games. And so I can't give you an exact price on these games. That was just today's prices that I'm giving you today on Amazon. And the American prices, it looks like they're having the big Black Friday sale on right now, because they showed the regular price, and then the sale price is a lot lower. So if you bought them right away, then you can get them. I wasn't gonna put this D-Day game in, but I did see it on Amazon.com. I didn't see it on .ca, but I did see it on .com, and the D-Day game was $45 US. The prices that I give you, I'll tell you whether they're US or Canadian. Okay, so this game here, 1941, Axis and Allies 1941. You see the 1941 there. I don't recommend that you buy this game for an adult. This is a game that would be great for, say, a 12 to 16-year-old to introduce them to the game of Axis and Allies. It's just a little bit too simple. But anyway, it'd be great for a kid to learn how to play the game, learn how to do the moves that you do in Axis and Allies, rather than trying to teach a 12-year-old the big game. I'm telling you, the big game it is big. It's not just massive in size, it's massive in how to learn the game. Whereas this game is very simple. That's why you don't want to buy this game for an adult who's played the game a lot. The only reason I own this game, and I just bought it a couple weeks ago, is because it's got great pieces inside it. The little plastic pieces, they're some of the nicest out there. You get Tiger tanks, and the transports are way better than the transports, the German transports that you get from the big game there. So I bought it just for the pieces, and it's a cheap game. Like on Amazon that I just checked there, where are we here? I'm looking at a piece of paper. It was only $14 on Amazon.com. It was $45 on Amazon.ca, and when I bought it at the store, it was $45 Canadian. So that's that game. But like I said, that's just a game for kids or a game for somebody who wants more pieces. This game here, Axis and Allies 1914. Now, all the Axis and Allies games are for World War II, but this one game here is for World War I. So unless the person tells you they want this game, then this might not be a great purchase for you. It is a great game. I love it. But it's completely different than all the other games, the way it's played and everything. It's kind of the same in that you have little plastic army men and the roll dice and everything, but how you do it is completely different. But it is a good game. I really like it. And if the person says that's the item that they want, then sure, then go ahead and get that. I guess I forgot to give you the numbers, right? So that's item number 1, the big game. That's item number 2, D-Day. This is item number 3, 1941. This is item number 4, 1914. Now item number 5 I don't have, and the reason I don't have it is because I don't need it. It's called 1942 second edition, and I wouldn't recommend buying that unless the person actually wanted it. What it is it's a step up from this 1941 game, and it's a much better game than the 1941 game, and it's bigger than the 1941 game. But the reason I wouldn't buy that game, like it would have been a huge jump going from this game to this game, right? But back in 2008 there was an anniversary edition that came out, and it was a really good game. Like, it's one of the best, if not the best games that they have, but it was a limited edition, and so you couldn't buy it unless you paid $500-600 on eBay for it, right? Or some other place like that, somebody looking to swindle you. But they've just recently released it, so there it is right there, hot off the presses. Like, oh, I just burned myself. So anyway, that's it right there, Axis and Allies Anniversary. This is the hot new item right now for Axis and Allies players, and there's a good chance that your little wargamer there doesn't own this one, unless they bought it in the last month or two. That the game, it's not even been 2 months, I don't think. But that's a really great game, and you could buy this at your local store as well. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's item number 6, I guess. Item number 5 was the 1942 game, and this one here is the anniversary game. Now you'll see here that it says Spring 1941. Don't confuse that with this 1941 here. This is it over here, Anniversary Edition. If you go to the store and try to buy it, or if you're buying it online, make sure you're buying the Anniversary Edition. That's a great game to have. So those are all the Axis and Allies games that I could recommend to you. There's other games like D-Day, and there's older games of the global version of Axis and Allies, but they're not in print anymore. And unless a person specifically tells you, I seen one on eBay, go get me one of those, I wouldn't worry about those ones. These ones you can get in print right now. They're still making them, so I would stick to one of those. If at all possible, number one is your best choice. Most of the products that I'm going to show you and the board that I'm going to show you later is from the item number one, and that's these two games here. Europe 1940 second edition, Pacific 1940. Make sure you get the second edition, not the first edition of both games. Now there's another website that we buy a lot of our stuff from. It's called Historical Board Gaming, and they invented a couple of games that are like Axis and Allies that a lot of us play. And also you can take the pieces from these games and use them on your Axis and Allies board. This game here is a really cool game. It's what happens if the Allies, the good guys, were to have lost World War II, and then the Japanese and the Germans attack America. And so it takes place in 1946 and later, and the weapons are a little bit more advanced. Like you see this plane on here is one of those wing planes, you know. So it's pretty cool too. It's on sale right now for $99. These other ones I kind of gave you prices, but you know, it just depends on your local store, on what day that you buy it on Amazon and what deal you get on Amazon. But this one here has been $99 for a while. That's $20 off the regular price. They also have another game, and rather than just tell you about it, I'll show you the website and I'll show you the game on the website. So let's just go there and take a look at that. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a website that all of us wargamers love. It's this historicalboardgaming.com. And so that's all it is, historicalboardgaming.com. And the game that I want to show you here is a game that they developed. It's right here. It's called Global War 1936 to 1945. So you just click on game here, and you can see the map here. Here, I'll see if I can expand that a bit. There you go. This is the map, and this is a map of the world, and it's a really, really intensive game. I would only recommend it for the very, very avid players, you know, the people that are willing to spend hours and hours and hours learning a game. But it's a great game, and it's something that people will love. Let's just check out the price here. The price, there's two different maps. So you can get a 36-inch by 72-inch map for $129.95, or you can get a 42-inch by 96-inch map. So that's 8 by 8 feet. So you think of the sheet of plywood. That's how the size of this map here. And then with that, you get you get a few things that you can use, like you get the map and you get some setup charts and things like that. But then you have to buy all the little pieces for it. So what you would do is you would have that item number one that I showed you earlier, the Axis and Allies, the two games, Pacific and Europe, and you would use those pieces for this game. But then again, you're going to need more pieces after that, because this game is even more detailed than that. There's that game, and then there's another one as well that is like that. Let me just click on this again. There's a 1939 game as well. I guess that's the same one. I don't see it on here, but anyway, there's a 1939 game that is maybe they don't sell it anymore. It was a good game too. This is just an updated version of that game. So anyway, that is item number 8, is Global War. Like I said, only for very, very advanced players would you buy this game for. And I would say only if they asked for it by number. If they said, I want number 8, then, you know, put that on your list as a possible thing that you get them. So I'll just go through those prices again. $129.95 for the small map. That's a 3/6 by 6 foot map. And $159.95 for a 4 foot by 8 foot map. And those are American prices. This is an American website out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I vouch for these people for sure. Like, I have bought so many things off of these people, as have many people in the Axis and Allies online community. These people have by far the most amount of products that we can use for our games, and you'll see that today in this video. So Global War 1936 to 1945, that is item number 8. Let's go to the next item. Take a look at this thing here. Okay, this is the item number 1 I told you about, the Pacific and the Europe game. This is the whole game put together, except for this isn't on the boards. You get 2 boards in each one, and each board has 2 creases each. So what is that, like 12 creases? And you got these tiny little people, and you're putting them on there, and they're falling into creases and stuff. This is the vaunted map files. There are a few different files on the internet made by, I think they were started by Young Grasshopper. He's a guy out of Toronto. He's the most prominent YouTuber, one of the most prominent members of the Axis and Allies community. He hosted a tournament in Toronto just a couple of months ago, and the creator of Axis and Allies, Larry Harris, was there. So anyway, he started these map files, and him and another guy named Ambilzi, who nobody knows, seems to know what happened to him. He hasn't been around for quite a while, but they created the first map file, and the one that you see here was taken from their file, and it was redone by a guy named Cyanight. So that's the map file that I use. The difference between this map file and one of Young Grasshopper's new map files is there's a C zone in there 110. It seems to get pretty busy. So this guy kind of moved to Great Britain a little bit further away from the coast than it should have been, the coast of Europe, so that there's more room in there. And there's another territory in there that gets pretty busy. He made that one a little bit bigger as well. And then there's these roundels. See these little things on here? These are called roundels, right? And so he put roundels on all these neutral territories here, like this one here. Like that doesn't exist on the game that you get out of the boxes or on Young Grasshoppers. And the other one is here. This is instead of the traditional green and white and I think red Italian roundel, they have this one here. This is the fascist roundel that the Italians were using back during the Second World War, or they used it quite a bit anyway. That was the fascist roundel that they used. So anyway, that's the difference with the map file. But Grasshopper's map files, like I wish that somebody would do that with this map file. Him and another guy, geez, his name escapes me right now, but they redid the colors on this so that the colors are much, much more vibrant. Like the ocean is a deeper blue, and the greens are deeper greens, and the reds are deeper reds and everything. Like it's just a beautiful file. But he's got 2 different ones because he's got ghost boxes here, and there's a reason for that. The person who you're buying this present for, if they don't have one of these maps, this is the best thing that you can get them. This is the best kind of customization there is. Once you play on one of these maps, you'll never ever want to play on those boards that come from out of the box again. It's free. The map is absolutely free. All of the map files, the links that I'm going to give you in the description box below the video, they're all free. All you do is you take one of these things here, like, you know, one of those little thumb drives that you stick in your computer. So you download the map file onto your computer, you put it on one of those things, you take it down to one of your local print shops. I wouldn't recommend a big box place like Staples or something like that, unless that's all you've got. But I would recommend like a specialty place, and make sure when you go in there and ask them about it and show them what you want, that they do the printing themselves on site, that they don't ship it off to some city somewhere else and have them print it off and ship it back to you, you know, and you got to pay for it up front. You don't want to pay for this map file up front. It's huge and it's going to cost you some money to get it printed off. So you want to make sure that there's no mistakes made to this map file before you pay the money for it. You want to make sure that you're satisfied with it. Because like it is quite an investment. Now, if you're living, like I live in northern British Columbia, as I stated earlier, and so things cost us a little bit more up here because we're isolated, somewhat isolated anyway. Smaller towns around us are even more isolated and things cost even more, even their groceries. It's worth it for them to drive an hour or two out of their way just to come here and get their groceries. So anybody that lives in an isolated area knows what I'm talking about. Things cost more. But in a city, I think this map file in Canada would cost you about $150 to get it printed off properly. In the States, I'm not sure. See, it all depends on who you get it printed by, what kind of material you get it printed on, because there's several different materials. And I can't tell you exactly what material to get it done on. What I would do is show them what it is, show them what it's going to be used for, and ask for their recommendations because they're professionals. Mine that I got printed off, I talked to a guy who's very knowledgeable. He took me in the back, he showed me a whole bunch of different stuff. This was some kind of two-way sign thing, like if you see signs in the window of businesses. Like I could have printed a map on either side of this if I wanted to. And then afterwards what he did was he did a cold laminate. Let me just grab something here. I want to show you something. Because this is another thing you got to watch out for. Okay, here's one. Okay, so let me just show you this. Now, you see the glare that's coming off of that? That's because this is the regular kind of laminate that you get. You see like on the corners here, what they do is they put a piece of paper inside of 2 sheets of this, and then they put it in a hot machine, and it kind of, it sticks both sides of that together, and that's good. It seals it and makes it nice. But when you play in a game, you get the glare off the lights in and you can't see it. Like I had a different map before this one, and I couldn't see. If I had the curtains of my window open, I could not see a thing. It would just blind me. All I could see were the pieces on top. I couldn't see what country they were in. So you got to make sure that you don't get it laminated with some glossy laminate. What he did was he put what he called a cold laminate on there. Here, I'll show you. See like this tape here, the clear tape. So think of it that way, as one big huge piece of tape that he put on this thing, except for it was better than tape. But anyway, he laid that down on the thing perfectly right, and then he trimmed it off and everything. And so you can't even see it, but that is a matte finish. And so that's why you can see a little bit of glare from the light, but it's nothing like before where you could see it, where it was like a mirror. It'd be like looking into a mirror into the sun kind of thing, right? So anyway, a map file, this is great. Now, because there are different map files, it's up to that person, really, the person who's going to own this, really what map file they want. And so that's why it's not necessarily a good idea for you to go out and click on the map file and choose it and take it to the store and get it done and everything, unless you know a lot about what they want. Because it's a personal thing. It's which map you want, right? And like I said, there are different maps. So what I would recommend in this case is you maybe get a card or something, and then there's a few different things you could do. You could put a prepaid Visa card in there for what you think it's going to cost, $150, or you could make up your own gift certificate, say 1 free map file, and then that person goes out and they get the map file done. You don't have to do any of the work, and then you go to the store and pay for it for them. You know what I mean? But like I understand, you know, you want to wrap something up and put it under the tree. If that's what you want to do, then I understand, and you want to surprise them, and you need more information about these things. What you can do is you can send me a private message here on YouTube. What you'll do is you go to my home page, like not in the page of this video, but you click on my name down below the video there, General Hand Grenade, and then it's got a bunch of titles there. After that, it'll say videos and playlists and everything, and there's one that's called About. You click on About and it takes you to another page, and then down below that is somewhere where my views are. It says views, and it'll be like 80,000 or something like that. You go just below that, there's a little flag, and then there's a little thing just beside it, a little, looks like a message icon. You can click on that, and then a box will appear, and you can write a message to me in there. And I tell you to do that because then you can do it privately, so that your loved one will not know that you're doing this for them. And I promise, if you tell me who they are, I'm not going to tell them. I'm not going to tell anybody. If you send me a private message, then I will work with you. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I have a job, of course, and I've got a life, but as soon as I can, I might get back to you in 2 minutes. It might take me 10 hours. You know, I might have to work, or maybe I'm in a different time zone than you, but I'll get back to you as soon as possible. and we can discuss more about a map file if you want, because this is a very detailed type of purchase. It's not that hard to do. It's just making the right choices to get the right map printed, because like I said, it does cost a lot of money, and I would make sure that that person was a nice person this year, not a naughty one, because this is a beautiful present. Anyway, on to the next item. That was number 9, I think. Yeah, number 9. Okay, sticking with the theme of young Grasshopper and all the work that he does for the community, like that map file that I showed you that's in the background here. One of the other things he did, he spent hundreds of hours, if not thousands, on making 2 card decks, and I've got them here. Like, I put them in this thing. I bought it especially for his card decks, right? You don't get that. That's something you got to buy from a card store or a game store. So anyway, these cards are great because, here, let me just turn this around so I can see. These cards are they're what you need to have. If you don't have a deck of cards, something like this, then you're going to be going to the rule book like 100 times a game just to find out, you know, what does this mean? What does this mean? These things are very, very useful. And I'm not going to explain them too much because I know that you probably are looking at them and wondering what the heck does that mean? And you don't really need to know what it means. You just need to know that these are essential to playing the game. So there's a couple of card decks that I'm going to show you today that are kind of the same thing. This is Young Grasshoppers cards. I've got another friend in Los Angeles, and he's got a deck of cards. But there's all kinds of different things in these cards. There's setup files, and there's you know, all kinds of different things. And there's 2 different decks. One is called Alpha Deck, and that's probably the one that you want to get. That is the out-of-box game. Out-of-box game means that you're playing by the rules that are stated in the rule book that you get out of the box. If you were to take this plastic off the box and play the game, you'd be playing the out-of-box game. But we all have our own little house rules and everything. And Young Grasshopper's rules are very popular. We just had a whole tournament in Toronto. We played by his rules. And so the second deck is the deck that you need to play his game. And so if the person tells you they want Delta Deck, then yes, go ahead and get Delta Deck. That's Grasshopper's house rules. Otherwise, what you want to do is you want to buy Alpha Deck. I mean, you can buy both decks if you want. So like the map, the thing is free. Both card deck files are free, and I'll give you the links to those, obviously. So you download them on your computer, then you put them on one of these little things. It doesn't have to be like this one. There's a million different ones. All kinds of stupid little ones you can get. But yeah, you just put them on here, and then you take that to the card store, or to the print shop, and they print them off, and you'll decide, you know, like what kind of stuff you want. I don't know exactly what these are made out of, but this is great what he made these out of, and they're protected. Like, I could spill something on those and then wipe them off and stuff like that. And that's the kind of thing that you're going to want to do is make sure it's not just a piece of paper, right? You can just get it on like a playing cards, that kind of deck, but I would get something that was protected though, and talk to your print shop and tell them what the file is and what they're for, and you know, like, people are going to be playing with them, and you know, something might get spilled on them, so you want some kind of material that is protected. So anyway, that is Alpha Deck and Delta Deck, and you will get links to those. And thank you to Young Grasshopper very much for making these up. I'm telling you, he spent years making these, and that's no lie. He spent years. Like, first of all, you got to go through the rule book, and you got to find out what to make cards out of, and that can take forever. But just to make them and make them right, like, he's very meticulous in how he does things. So anyway, huge effort on his part with this and with the map file and with all the other things he does. So that's what you got. Item number. Damn. Hang on a second. I don't want to give you the wrong number. Forgive me, I left my piece of paper in the other room. Yeah, that's item number 10. Young Grasshopper's card decks, both Alpha Deck and Delta Deck. Be back. And speaking of cards, we have another card deck here. Again, the file is free. I'll give you the link to where to go download that file, and you print these cards off. And much like the other ones, that they give you a bunch of information that you need to play the game. So look here, the Japanese player. It tells the Japanese player's political situation. So the Japanese player would get all these cards to, you'd hand them these cards to play the game with, right? And there's cards here for every nation, right? So it tells you something like there's a special rule for the Japanese, and there's the national objective cards and stuff like that. One of the differences between this deck and the other deck is if you were a newer player, like if the player that you're buying these cards for is a newer player to the big game, to the big global game that I showed you there, then this is a good teaching tool, because it's got some of the information on there that you would have to look through the rule book to find. It's not just the national objectives and the weapons and stuff like that. Like here, it tells you about submarines and the different things that submarines can do, right? So that's handy because submarines can be difficult. Scramble, that's another rule in the game. Transports, what transports do. They're the most misunderstood piece in the whole game, so we made a card about those. And the anti-aircraft, what happens during a bombing raid, an amphibious assault, a convoy disruption, and then there's the weapons, the research and development weapons. So these cards are really useful too. You can see that they're a lot bigger than Young Grasshoppers cards. So, like that is something to consider as well. But like I said, these cards are really, really good for newer players, because then they don't have to go look up. The rules that siredblood has put in here are the ones that are maybe the most difficult to master. But he's condensed them, right? Like he's given you the information that you need to use that particular rule, rather than having a whole paragraph. You might have a sentence, and so you can understand the rule just after one sentence. And like I said, you get all the different nations in their cards. There's more different types of cards in Young Grasshopper's deck, but then there's different types of cards in this deck too. So it's probably like it's probably what the person asks you for. Like if they ask you for number 10 Young Grasshoppers cards, the Alpha deck or the Delta deck, or if they ask you for number 11 siredblood's cards, it's for a particular reason, because either because they like the way the one card looks over the other, or because of the information that is on those cards. Because like I said, they're different information. They're different card decks. Some of the cards in here have the same information, but many of them have different information from each other. That's why I have both decks. One, because there is different information on them, and so I play with both of them just to give all the information. I play with some newer players, and so these cards are great for them. They keep asking me, what does the submarine do? I read the card. Just go read the card. I'm tired of telling you. So they'll read. Okay, now I got it. Anyway, so I use those, and I like Young Grasshoppers because they're smaller and because the print is larger, right? I'm getting older, so my eyesight isn't what it used to be. So it's up to the person what type of deck they want, or maybe they want both of them. Anyway, decks the card files are free, but you do have to take it down to your printer and get them printed off. And like this is like a normal printed card, unlike Grasshoppers. So I'm not sure that this one is protected, but you will get it done the way you want it done, right? On the material that you want done. So you just take those to the print shop and you get them done, and that's number 11, siredblood's cards. I'm going to show you his dice next. Actually, let's just do that right now. I've got them beside me anyway here. So let me just show you his dice here. Now, he's got 2,000 of these dice. Don't look at these ones here with these a whole bunch of dots on them. These are different dice. What his dice are these. So there's the white one, the red one, the blue one, and the green one. And these are called battle dice. And these are awesome to have. I tell you that they speed the game up so much. So in the game, things might roll at a 1 or less, which means a 1, or a 2 or less, or a 3 or less. So what happens, what he did, and Young Grasshopper is coming out with his battle dice as well, is see there's only 2 dots on there, on 2 sides. Everything else is blank, right? So this is a 2 or less dice. This one here has only one dot on it. All the other sides are blank. So that's 1. And this is a 4 or less. I think everything hits it, like that's the biggest you can get is 4 or less. But that's all you need for Axis now. Is this one's 3 or less. Like there's 3 dots on it. And then there's 3 that don't have anything on it. So then you've got 4 things in there. You just roll the dice, and there you go. You can see I've got 1 hit. You don't have to roll these. Like if you had these dice here, okay, I've got 1 at 1. So then you roll, okay, I missed that. Okay, I've got 1 at 2. Okay, that's a 1, so I get 1 hit. Okay, 1 at 3, and you roll, okay, I missed that one. Okay, so now I got 1 at 4, and that's a hit too. So you know you got 2 hits. But you had to roll 4 times to get that, right? Whereas this, you just take a whole mitt full of them, and you roll them, and there you go, you got 2 hits, right? So these are really handy, and especially if you're rolling 10 of them at a time. Like rolling 4 is one thing, but like I in the tournament there, I had like I had to clutch them to my body. Like I'd have like 20 of them, 20 of these hit dice in my hand, and I just drop them into the dice tray, and then take the next couple of seconds counting them up. Like these are really, really handy. So these are siredblood's dice, and I will give you his email address. So you will contact him, and these are $50 American. He lives in the Los Angeles area. So these are $50 American. Plus, if you're living in the United States, it's about 7 something for delivery. So what he said is, if you send him $57, he'll send you these dice in anywhere in America. Now, if you live outside of America, like if you live in Canada, like I do, or Europe or somewhere else, then it's going to cost different. And I don't know exactly how much different it is. I talked to him on the phone this morning, but it'll be a different price, and it'll be slightly more than that. If you're in Australia, I'm sure it'll be a lot more than that. But anyway, these are well worth the price. Let me tell you, these are great things to have. I bought a set of them in Toronto. He was my partner at the Young Grasshoppers Invitational, so I told him to bring a set so that I wouldn't have to pay the delivery cost. So he just brought a set with him to Toronto, and I took them home with me. Anyway, so those are siredblood's dice, and that's item number 12. Oh, and soon Grasshoppers dice will be coming out, but I don't know if they'll be here before Christmas or not. My guess is that they won't. But if you don't like this style, I'm not sure what Grasshoppers are going to look like. But his are the way he does things, I can only imagine they're going to be really good as well. So if you don't want to buy these ones, you might want to wait for those ones. But these ones you can get right now for Christmas. Okay, item number 13, lucky number 13. This is War-Torn's Flightstands. Let me just grab something here so I can point to them. Now, you see the planes here. Normally, the planes just sit on the table like everything else. But these things here, look at them. They're flying in the air. That is so cool. It kind of makes your board come alive, right? Planes are a really big deal in this game. So it's nice that I find, anyway, since I started using Flightstands, I find that it really accentuates them, and it warns me, that there's a plane in the area, because you can see how many pieces are on the board and everything. But with the plane standing up like that, they can't really hide on you, right? So they're awesome, really, really nice customization. I have to warn you though, if you're a little wargamer there, has a penchant for gluing their fingers together or gluing themselves to a chair, maybe these aren't for you, because there is some assembly required. Let me just show you here. So you got these tiny little magnets. You see that little magnet there? That's 1/8 inch diameter, and it's a 1 millimeter thick, and you have to glue that on there. Some of these planes, like this one here, has a flat bottom, but some of them don't have a flat bottom. Like I believe this one here doesn't. So let's just take a look at this one. This is a tactical bomber. So I had to drill a little hole in there in order to get the magnet to glue onto there, because I couldn't glue it on a rounded part. Like you see, the fuselage here is rounded, right? So I had to drill a little bit there. So if the person doesn't have to be completely handy, be able to build a house or anything, they just need to be able to drill a small little hole like this without going through the other side, and not glue themselves to a table. That's about all that's required. And what he does is he sends you 100 of these Flightstands, and he made them clear so that it would look like it would look like the plane is, like the flight stand would disappear. It would look like he's flying. So you look at there, and you can see the base there, and you can see the plane, but you can barely see the flight stand in there. So it looks like, it actually does look like the plane is flying. Now the bottom of this is made of metal, and that's kind of cool too, because a lot of us like to magnetize our carriers here. And so like that stands on there, and it doesn't fall off, right? Like you try to pull it off, and the carrier comes with it. So and also, if you want, you can take your plane off of there, and you can use the magnet on there to put your plane on there, right? See, it just picks it right up like that. But anyway, that's the cool thing about having these the metal bottom on the flight stand, is that you can do that. Plus, it makes them so they're hard to tip over. Like look, like you don't want to be tipping things over, because you could knock a whole bunch of things over. Like that thing just comes and stands right back up again, right? So that's heavy bottom and light top, and so it's probably gonna not fall over. So that's really cool about these flight stands. He really put a lot of thought into these. So if you buy a set of these, and they're very limited for Christmas, he'll make more after Christmas, but he's got a young family, and he's got Christmas coming up just like the rest of you, and so he can only make about a half a dozen sets and get them out in time for you, because he's got to mail them to you. Only about a half a dozen sets or so that he can mail off before Christmas. And I'll give you his email address in the description box below. He lives in Toronto, so the price is $100 Canadian for 100 flight stands, and that's enough to play the whole game. There you get, I think, 200 and something planes, but what he does is he gives you 200 magnets. So you get 100 flight stands and 300 magnets. So you need a magnet for the flight stand, and then you've got another 200 magnets for your planes. That's just about every plane in your thing. And so you know, like if you need a different kind of plane, then you just take this one off and you put a different plane. And I'm trying to look through a camera and do this, and then you put a different plane back on. Like for instance, these blue guys here, they lose the game right away. Like they're out right away. So you don't need to magnetize all their planes. You just need to magnetize 2 of them, because that's all you're ever going to need. And the first one's going to die in the first thing that happens in the whole game, because the first thing that happens is Germany attacks Paris and takes Paris out. And so that plane's going to be gone, that first blue plane there. And so you don't need all the planes on the board at a time, and you'll never have 100 planes on the board at a time. And so 100 flight stands and 300 magnets is going to be plenty for the whole game. And these are awesome, believe me. I had a different kind of flight stand before, and they were nice. I liked them and everything, but they're not nearly as nice as these ones. So War-Torn's flight stands, if you want them, you're going to have to order as soon as you can, because he's only taken, like I said, 6. It could be 10, but I think it's going to be only 6. And that's if he hasn't taken any in the last couple days since I've spoken to him. So very limited before Christmas. You can still get them after Christmas. I'm not sure how long he's going to make them for. He doesn't do this for a living. He has a job, but he's a good guy. Let me tell you, he's gonna be great. The people that have bought his flight stands off him, he's worked with them, and there's videos on how to do this, how to do the flight stands. I've made a video, but I didn't make him do it as well as he did. So they can go see his video. It's on how to do these. And then another guy, he showed how he did the flight stands. There's lots of videos on how to put together War-Torn's flight stands, and your little wargamer will love these. They will love putting their planes on there. I'm assuming there's 1 in 10 people might not want flight stands, but the other 9 do. But they're just, I'm not paying $100. So $100 Canadian, that's probably, if you're living in the United States, that's probably about $80. I think there was a guy in Atlanta. He has a YouTube channel as well. His name's G.I. Joe. And it costed him $100 American to get the flight stands and to pay the delivery costs. Because I think it's about $80 American is $100 Canadian. So when you add that and the delivery costs in there, I think it was $100 American for 100 flight stands and 300 magnets. So that's item number 13, War-Torn's flight stands. Money. Money, money, money. Everybody needs money, don't they? So this is item number, where am I? Now, item number 14, IPC Chips. So, the later games of Axis and Allies, for some goofy reason, didn't come with money, and I actually know the reason. I was at that tournament that I told you about in Toronto, and the creator of the game was there. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think he sold off his rights to the game to the people that own it now, right? And these people, he was in a meeting, he said, with these people, and had a big fight with them over the fact that not going to include money in their games anymore because it costed an extra 17 cents or something like that, right? So he was mad, and and he stormed out of the room, and it was a pretty funny story. You had to be there though. But anyway, money. The game doesn't come with money, and it's just silly. So money is one thing that you do want to get. So there's cash. Like these are the old money that you got with the old Axis and Allies game, and that that works. So you can take them out of your old Axis and Allies game. And there's other paper money you can get. Historicalboardgaming.com has their own money, and it's pretty nice too. I can't show it to you because I left it over at my friend's house. We played a game over at his place on Remembrance Day. Anyway, so there's the paper money from Historical Board Gaming, both for the World War II game and for the and for the World War I game. Two different sets of money. So those are good, and they're only about $10 each from Historical Board Gaming. But a lot of people like to play with these IPC chips. IPC means Industrial Production Certificates, and they're like poker chips. They're really nice, and they're heavy, and you can also just buy a set of poker chips, but like these ones are really nice. And these you can get from a website called iwillnevergrowup.com, and I'll give you a link to where you can get these. And yes, there's actually a website called iwillnevergrowup.com. I thought that was pretty funny when I first heard it, and I bet you do too. But anyway, so I think these are about $55 for a set of these. And this isn't a set here. I've just shown you some of them. But I will tell you, though, that one set of these is not going to be enough to play the big game. This game here that I've been showing you here, the Global 1940. That's the Europe and Pacific games. The amount of money that they give you isn't enough, so you have to supplement that. And what I did, they have these minor upgrade sets. They don't give you any 25 IPC chips. I think they should change it. They should change it so that there's enough money for the Global 40 game. But hopefully someday they do that. What I did was I bought 2 sets of these. So there's you get 5 of these, and I think that's like $5 or $10 for these. And I bought 2 sets of these, and that was enough money. But the problem was I kept running out of ones. And so the guy who runs that site, the guy who runs iwillnevergrowup.com, is a good guy. His name is James. He sold me more chips. So I bought a few more 10s, a few more 5s, and quite a few more 1s, just so I'd have a few extras. And I think there were, $1.25 each to buy a chip like this. So that people love this money, though, the people that play. But not everybody loves playing with chips. Some people prefer paper money for some reason. I don't know why. Like my friend Siredblood that I told you about from Los Angeles there. He hates using IPC chips. He prefers to use paper money. I don't get that, but to each his own. I tell you, once I started playing with IPC chips, I never went back because I love using these. Like, you can count them up with one hand. They take up less space. They don't get all wrinkly and everything. Like the money, it looks great when you first buy it, the paper money, but after a while it starts getting crinkled up and everything. Like, sure, if it's your game and it's your money, then you're taking good care of it and everything. But you got your friends over, and maybe they're having a few drinks or something, and they're scrunching the money up and sticking it in their pocket and stuff like that, just making a mess out of things, right? But these things here are not like that. These work out really, really well. And for now, there's only one distributor who makes them that I know of, and that's iwillnevergrowup.com. So that is number 14 IPC chips. Okay, on to item number 15 now. We're going to look at eBard's Capital and Victory Cities. Now, you see this little thing in here? That's the Taj Mahal. That's for India. And I'll show you why that's there. You see, I'll move these planes aside. You see it says Calcutta in here. Now, there's 19 cities on this board, and that's how you win the game, is by taking the required number of cities. I won't get into it too much, but you need to take the required number of cities if you're the Axis player, and you need to take capital cities if you're the Allies player. You need to take all 3 capital cities for the other guys. That's Tokyo and Berlin and Rome. But anyway, so I have these things and I've painted them up bright red like that because those are very important in the game. And I can stand way back here, you know, or be a ways away, and I look and I know where all the objectives are. They're the red things, right? Like here, down here, that's the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and they're just beautiful pieces. They come from shapeways.com, and they're made by, the design was made by a guy named Ebard. That's the name that he goes by. And there's the Aloha Tower in Honolulu. That's another victory city. There's the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. There's the Imperial Palace, and that's for Tokyo. This is the Manila Post Office. And like you can just see, I'll just move around. There's the pyramids in Egypt there. And there's the tractor factory in Stalingrad. There was the Battle of Stalingrad was going on around as they were cranking out tanks at the same time from this tractor factory. There's St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow. The Winter Palace in Leningrad. Poland there, what is that one called? I can't remember. It's a cathedral as well. In Germany, there's the Reichstag there. Here, I'll show you this one. I love this one. But the detail on these things is just amazing. This is, that's the Roman Colosseum. One of the wonders of the ancient world, like the pyramid that you've seen. But these things here, like I've just spray painted them bright red. But I mean, if your little wargamer likes to paint with tiny little paintbrushes, or maybe you do, you could get a set of these and paint them up for them and put them on the board. Now this is the large set. My map is 13% larger. When I got mine printed up, I knew how big my table was. And so this turned out being 13% larger. So my territories are all bigger than you would get on the normal map, on the normal out-of-box map. So I got the large set. But you might want to go to the small set. Look there, there's the Eiffel Tower down in there, and there's the Parliament buildings in London. There's the Parliament buildings in Ottawa, Parliament Hill, and the Capitol building, the U.S. Capitol building in Washington. So these are great. I mean, they're just beautiful, beautiful pieces, right? Very intricately done and everything. But they are expensive though. They're from a website called shapeways.com, and Shapeways is a 3D printing site in where is it? Long Island, New York. So here's Ebard's section on Shapeways. Let me just show you here. Okay, so these are there's the victory cities in the Pacific, the victory cities in Europe, and then there's the capital cities. So there are 3 different sets. You can't just buy one set of them. And these are the larger ones. These are all American prices. I think the delivery charge for me was $11.50 to deliver them all the way to northern British Columbia. So the delivery is not that expensive. But anyway, you would need to buy all 3 of these if you were buying the large set. Now the smaller set that you might want to get instead, they're a little bit cheaper. Like I think this set's $10 cheaper. This one's $4 cheaper, and then Pacific, this one is this one's $10 cheaper. Don't worry about this one over here. Like he made a set before. I had the old set, but some of them were way too small, so he redid those ones. So this is for people who didn't want to buy a new set. They just wanted to go with the old set, but they wanted to replace those three pieces that didn't turn out very well. But these turned out just beautifully. So what is that? 38, 35, 60. So about $106 American for the large set,
and what was it, about $90 or so American for the small set. And like I said, you might want to go with the small set. Now you see the pyramid here. It looks like it's a little bit too big, even on mine. It takes up too much space. So I was one of the guinea pigs. I volunteered to buy a set to see how they would turn out. And so that one turned out too big. And the Canadian Parliament one there, on Parliament Hill, that turned out a little bit too big. But there's lots of space over there, and there's hardly anybody that ever, you don't pile too many units over there, so I can live with that. And I think the Winter Palace up in Leningrad there turned out a little bit too big. So he's made those a little bit smaller. They're not going to be as big as this. They're not going to take up as much space, which is a good thing. But all the other ones that you see, that's the actual size that they'll come in if you get the large size. These are really, really beautiful. Like you see here though, they're quite expensive. So you'll have to make sure that your little wargamer has been a good boy or girl this year, you know. But yeah, they're just beautiful, and you can see how much they enhance this board. You buy the game out of box, you're not getting those pieces, you know. All you're getting is that little printing there. Like here's Cairo. That's what it says instead. But isn't it much nicer if you have that? There, now that's Cairo. Yeah. So those are really nice. So those are E-bars. But while we're here, I want to show you this site too, Shapeways. So what you can do is there's a search tool up here. So you search and then you just type in Axis and Allies. And it'll take you to a whole bunch of things that you can buy for Axis and Allies. And see, this is and the pieces are so much more intricately done than you get from the Axis and Allies pieces. And like you can just go to people's sites, like these guys here, Masters of Military. You can click on them, and then it's like eBard's site. They've got their own site, right? And there's all kinds of stuff in there. Yeah, they're just there's lots of really great stuff in here, but it's more expensive than your average little plastic pieces. But you look at the detail on these things, really fine detail on them, you know. Like this is a tiny little thing. Like this tank here is probably about this size, but you look at the detail on it compared to the detail on this one. This one doesn't have a whole lot of detail on it. This one has a ton of detail on it. So those are really nice pieces to have, but again, really expensive. But one thing that you can do though is you can buy a gift certificate for this site. So and that's one thing I should talk about too, now that we're getting into sites here and not just people. You can buy a gift certificate for this site here. I think you can get one for I Will Never Grow Up, although there's not a lot of products there that you can get for Axis and Allies. That's more of a game store for all kinds of games, you know, like not just war games, but all kinds of games, Monopoly and all the newer games and card games and things like that. So it's not really geared towards Axis and Allies, and neither is this one here, but this one has a lot of Axis and Allies content that you can purchase. And so you can get a gift card on there, and you just have to look around on the site. Like if you look close enough, there's gift cards right there, you know, at the bottom of the page. So you can do that. Then the person can get whatever they want. Or another thing that you can do is you can buy a prepaid Visa card, or even if you're planning on getting something online for somebody here. Or for anything for that matter, and you don't have a credit card, and you don't want to make an account online where you think it might get hacked or something, excuse me, you can get a prepaid Visa card. So you go in, like I know I can get them at the grocery store here in Prince George. I can go to the grocery store and I can get a prepaid Visa card, and then I can buy I can tell them how much I want on it. So like I say, I want $50 on there. So that card will have $50. Once I've spent the $50, then it's gone. There's no more, right? And And so that's one thing that you can do. And then they can use that card to purchase anything online or purchase anything in the community, whatever they want to use it on. But that's just one way that you can do it. And one way, if you don't feel secure enough giving your credit card online, is by knowing how much you want to spend, and then buying one of those cards and then using it. Or, like I said, just getting the gift card from the site there, and then the person can go pick out what they want. So that it is. Gotta take a look again, make sure I don't get it wrong. That is number 15. That's eBard's Victory and Capital Cities. A beautiful, beautiful item. Let's just take another quick look at those. There's the red pieces down there. Really, really beautiful little pieces. So that's kind of an extravagant item, and they don't really help you play the game. I'll tell you that right now. They look really, really cool. Okay, so now we're going to move into some of Historical Board Gaming's items. And they're a great store. They're an online store in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Doug Friend is the guy that runs the site. I showed you some things from there earlier, the Global War game and the America game. And I've been talking a lot with Doug lately. He's reached out to me and some other members of the community, young Grasshopper. He works with Grasshopper as well, and some of the other guys. And anyway, him and I talked about some of the things that he could do for Axis and Allies. He obviously got started in Axis and Allies. That's what inspired him to make the Global War game and the America game. But so he doesn't play Axis and Allies much anymore because he's busy with those other games. Plus he has a job too that he goes to. This is just his side gig. And so he doesn't really know what we need for the Axis and Allies games right now. Anymore. Like, he makes a lot of stuff and we use a lot, but he said, what more can I do? And I thought that was great. So anyway, what some of the things that him and I talked about, like he sold all these markers, but separately, right? Like you could buy 5 of these or 5 of these or 5 of these or 5 of these, and you still can. But what I said was, it would be great, Doug, if we can buy all of these at once. So that big game that I showed you about, the Pacific and Europe 1940, and the one that I have the big map for that I showed you in my room there, for that game, the markers that you would need are these ones. And there's 25 air bases and 25 naval bases. There's 6 kamikaze markers. There's a thing called kamikaze, only Japan gets them. And then there's the convoy markers. These help out with doing convoys. I'm not going to explain the rules to you because you probably don't care. And then there's these damage markers. You put your ships on top of these when they're damaged. Some of the ships, they can take 2 hits. And so to know which ships have taken 2 and which have taken none, you would put the damaged ship on top of one of those. So anyway, he's put all of these markers together, and it's a savings for you. Let me just click on this here. If you were to buy them separately, it would cost over $50. So he's made a set of them for $44.95, and these are American prices, of course, because they're out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So this is great. This is the Global 40 marker set. It's item number 16. One thing I would like to mention before I go on is, if you're going to get these delivered to your house, anything from Historical Board Gaming, and if you want it to be a surprise, you might want to get it delivered somewhere else, because just about everybody in the Axis and Allies community has bought something from there, or even lots from there in the case of many of us. So we all know what these little white boxes look like. I get jacked right up when I come home and I see one of these little white boxes in my mailbox, because I know that Historical Board Gaming has sent my order to me, and I've received it, and I'm all excited. So you might want to get this delivered to your neighbor's house, or to your friend's house, or maybe to where you work or something. Or if you're the one that you're certain that you're going to get the mail before the person who you're buying the present for, then you can get it delivered to your home. Or if it's not a surprise, or if they know it's going to be something, but they don't know what from Historical Board Gaming, then sure, get it delivered to your house. But otherwise, be advised, we all know what one of these little white boxes is, okay? So, again, that's item number 16 from Historical Board Gaming, the Global 40 marker set. And we'll move on to the next thing from them. Okay, so here's item number 17, and this is the Historical Board Gaming Global 40 Roundel set. Now these roundels, what they are is they're flags, basically, flags for your country. So when you take over somebody else's territory, you just put your flag on their territory, and that matters because each territory is worth money. And so when you add up your money at the end of your turn, then you're looking for the places that are either yours or that they have your roundel on them, you know, minus the places of yours that somebody else took, right? So anyway, on the top line here, you'll see the roundel set that I'm talking about. These are the historical board gaming roundels. Now these are the roundels that you get when you buy the game, when you buy the box and they send you the game. This is the Europe game and the Pacific game, and that these roundels come in. And you can see they're kind of off-centered, some of them, and they're not very vibrant. And what the worst thing about them, though, is trying to pick them up. Like, I can barely pick that up, right? Some of them are really, like, it takes some work to try to pick them up. And you can see how thin they are, right? What they are is just thin pieces of cardboard. And you know, they're okay. You can play the game with them. But these things, these are just gorgeous. Like, these are more vibrant and everything, deeper colors, and you can pick them up really easily. I put stickers on the back of them because a lot of people like to flip them over and mark the territory they're about to take, and then after they've taken it, then they just flip the marker over, and then they take the territory. But that kind of reminds you to do that. So normally what Doug was doing in historical board gaming was selling these in blocks of 10. So you bought 10 of these or 10 of these, or, you know, 10 at a time. And I said, you know, it would be great, Doug, if you could just make a whole set, something to play the whole game, because I spent a lot of money on these. These are pretty expensive. But having to spend 10 at a time and 10 at a time and 10 at a time to get the right amount, because I didn't know exactly how many I needed. When you buy it out of the box, and they give you tons of these little things, and so you never really count up how many you need. And in one game, that might not be the same as you're going to need in another game. So after playing for quite a while, I got it down to I've got just the right amount of these things, and some of them I've got too many. Like you see here, these things I've got, you see the numbers here. These are the numbers that you're going to get in the sets here. So 15, 15, 5, 5, 35, 15. Like, you don't need 20 of these. So rather than buying 2 sets of these, you take 5 off of these ones and you put it onto these ones. Take 5 off of these ones, put it onto these ones. Rather than buying 3 sets, you buy 1.5 sets of these and 1.5 sets of these. You know, so it's already cheaper by doing it this way. You only have to buy 16. You're basically paying for 16 sets instead of 19 sets of them, because you don't need 10 of these. You don't need 10 of these. You don't need 20 of these or 20 of these. And so you're buying too many of them if you're buying them that way. And I played for about a year, you know, and got to know exactly how many of these that I needed. If you were to buy them normally, what is it? over $95, but that's if you're only going to buy 16 of them. You know, you actually, it would cost you more than that. It would cost you $18 more than that if you were to get enough, because you had to buy the extra ones, right? And actually maybe even more than that. So it would actually cost you quite a bit more money. But this set here, and it's pretty expensive, it's $75 for the whole set. And like you see the numbers here, you get 30 German ones, 35 Japanese ones, 15 Italian ones. Now you can get either this one here or this one here for Italy. And you can see the numbers here, and that's what you get. But these are great though. Like I bought just 1 pack of 10 to begin with, because they were kind of expensive at $6 each. And I thought, well, you know, I'll just get it and just see what it looks. And I got it, and I thought, oh man, these are great. You know, after being able to pick them up easily, like these things, you spend all kinds of time trying to pick these things up, right? And you know, like, so you after swearing a bit, and then you finally pick it up, right? These things, you just play with them, you know. They're great. They're awesome. And they look wonderful. They make your board even more 3D, kind of like those Flightstands that I showed you earlier. They just kind of pop right off the board. And the person that you buy these for will love them, I promise you that. And they can use these for their other Axis and Allies games as well. The amount that you get here is for the big game, but they can also use them for the anniversary game, or for the 1942 game, or for any of the other games they can use these Roundels for. So anyway, that is item number 17, the Global 40 Historical Board Gaming Roundel set. And again, that's $75 American, 21% savings, but actually more savings than that when you consider how many you would have to actually buy, how many sets of 10 you would have to buy to play. So let's move on to the next item. And this is item number 18, Historical Board Gaming's Fuel Gauge Markers. Now, this is something that was created because of me. I told Doug, I've been looking for something like this for over a year now. I've looked everywhere to try to find something like this. Now, what these numbers are for, you've seen the little planes that I had on War-Torn's Flightstands there. Your planes can go a certain number of spaces, depending on the type of plane and whether or not they're at an airbase. So you go on your combat move and then you fight somebody, and then the remaining number of spaces is how far you can fly to safely land. But when you're flying, say, 20 planes around, try to remember how many spaces did this plane go? How many spaces did this plane go? You know what I mean? It's hard to keep track in your mind how many spaces every single plane went. Now, if you're only flying 2 planes in one turn, they both went to the same place, that's not difficult. But when you're flying a whole bunch of planes from a whole bunch of different places to a whole bunch of other different places, or even to one place, then it's hard to keep track. And so these fuel gauge markers, what you do is, okay, this plane can only fly 3 more spaces. So you put the plane on top of that number 3, and now you know after the combat is over, that plane can fly 3 spaces. So these things are absolutely beautiful. And they're big numbers so that you can see them. You've seen how big that board was. When you're sitting across the board, then you can see that it's the number 3. It's obvious that if they were smaller and you could see them if they were right beside you, but you might need to look 3 feet away from you or 4 feet away from you. So you want big numbers, and also we put in these fuel gauges. You see the needle, the 0 is down there at 0, and the 6 is all the way up to the top, and then there's various stages in between. So Doug did a really nice job, with my help of course, of designing these things, and I love them. I was so excited when I got them in the mail this week. So chances are, excuse me, chances are your little wargamer does not have a set of these yet. Unless they ordered them hot off the presses and as soon as they came out, they may not have any of these yet. So, but they will love them. Believe me, these things are very handy. And they know that too. Once they get them, oh, these are great, I'm loving these. Even before they even put them on the board, they'll know how handy they are because they've played the game before. They know how hard it is to remember where every plane came from and how far it can go after this. So a set of these is $8.95 American from Historical Board Gaming. If that's all you got, that's great. You can add it to one of those other sets or something like that. I'm just thinking though, like if that's all you order is one of these things, then you're paying the delivery charge, which is probably about that much too, right? So myself, I would order two of these. I'm not trying to upsell you or anything. I'm not getting any money from these guys. I'm just saying, to play the game, like I said, you've seen the size of the board. You can have one of them on one side of the table for the Axis and one of them on the other side of the table for the Allies. That way you're not passing them back and forth. You're just passing them back and forth between teammates, assuming that you're playing with more than one person on each side of the board. But anyway, but all you really need is one set of them. But I would recommend 2. So that's $8.95 for each set. And that is item number 18, Historical Board Gaming's Fuel Gauge Markers. You see this little thing right here? This is supposed to be a factory. When you put your stuff on, you have to put, like the stuff that you buy, you have to put it on a factory, right? Well, this little thing here is Axis and Allies. Like I told you earlier in the video, I think when we were doing the money, that the people that bought the game from the creator, they're just cheaping out now. So the big game there, this is what you get for a factory instead of a real piece like they used to give you. They used to give you these factory pieces. Now they're giving you these cheap little pieces of cardboard. So what I'm going to show you here is hot off the presses. In fact, it's not even off the presses yet. I just got off the phone this morning with Doug from Historical Board Gaming, and so what he is sending out these factories. Now these factories that I have, I had to pay a lot more money for. I showed you when I showed you eBards, there's that Shapeways site and how expensive that stuff is. Well, that's where I bought these, and I paid a lot of money, and they were from Historical Board Gaming, but they were on the Shapeways site, and so these are 3D printed. But they came in white like this. You see that's white. I had to paint them in the color. Like this is from the UK. This is the color of the UK units. So that's the color that I painted the factories. There's two different kinds of factories, or industrial complexes they're called. So there's the major one and there's the minor one. And within the next 2 weeks, you will see on the Historical Board Gaming site where you can buy these, but they're not going to be the 3D printed one. Instead, they're going to be molded plastic, and so they won't need to be painted. They will come in the correct colors already. And I'm telling you, like the online community, people are always asking, where can I get complexes? Where can I get complexes? And you can't often find complexes that are this nice. Like people use a lot of different things for complexes. Let me tell you, take it from me, these are really nice complexes. And I know it's hard to see when you're looking at somebody. I'm doing this film with my phone here, which doesn't take too bad a video and everything, but when you see them in real life, a lot of details. You can see windows in them and everything. Anyway, so these are major factories. This is the Italian one, and this is a minor factory. And I've told Doug how many that you need. There's a certain number of them, and it's 49. And it's a combination. I think there's 14 large ones and 35 small ones, if I'm not mistaken. I've got it written down, but it's not important. What matters is that you're going to get 49 of these complexes. It's going to be enough to play the big game, Global 1940. And all the complexes are going to be in the right colors. So even if your little wargamer has complexes already, they might like these ones better, because I'm telling you, these ones are really nice. So the price on those, like if you were to buy, he's going to put them for sale separately as well. If he sold them separately, then I think he said it would be about 32 bucks. But because he's putting together a set for that Global 1940 game in conjunction with GeneralHandGrenade YouTube channel, upon my recommendation, he is going to put that set together for $24.95, and that's a pretty good price. Like a lot of people, they go on eBay and things like that to try to find old complexes, and they're paying a lot of money for those things. These ones here, they're going to be available, they're going to be beautiful, and they're going to be affordable. $24.95, that's American price. And I know all this sounds like a lot of money to you, but this is our hobby. We love to do this kind of stuff, and so that's not a lot of money to us. If it's a lot of money to you, then you can always go buy the guy a sweater, or buy your daughter a sweater if the game is for her. So, but if you wanna make us really happy, buy us something really cool like this. But right now you can't find these just yet. But Historical Board Gaming does have gift certificates, and in fact, when you buy items from them, you get points, and then you cash in those points for gift certificates. So you can buy a gift certificate from their store, and then the person that you're buying the gift for can choose whatever they want. And believe me, there is a ton of stuff on that site, and these things will be within the next 2 weeks. They will be out. These complexes. I'm not sure how long they're going to last, because I don't know how many Doug's bringing in. But I tell you, these things are going to sell really fast. Hopefully he's bringing in thousands of them, because I know a lot of people are going to want these. So those are item number 19, and when I put it in the description box, I'm just going to write down there that they're coming soon, and then when they do come in, then I will put a link in the description box below. I will amend that to give you the proper link, but just know right now there isn't a link for them. Okay, so that's number 19. from Historical Board Gaming. That's Industrial Complexes for Global 1940 set. Okay, so the next item is task force markers. Now you can see how crowded this is in here. Remember, I've got a larger board than most people. So as crowded as this is, it's even more crowded on one of those boards that you get out of the box. So what you can do is you can get these task force markers from Historical Board Gaming. And you see, like, they're made out of this nice material here. See, it's like acrylic. I'm not sure what the back is, but that's acrylic. And what you can do is you can take all of your stuff there. Here, let me just move this German sub out of the way. Let's just shoot that guy down. Okay, and just put all our stuff on here. Let's leave the industrial complex and Westminster on there. We'll just take the units off. There we go. Now things can get even more crowded than this. Like you could this is how you start the game off. If you start buying stuff, then it's going to get even more crowded than that. But anyway, instead, what I've done is I've done that, and what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll put it off to the side of the board. And so this stuff is on there. But how I know that is that I will then put this marker on there. And you don't actually get the little dude there. I did that myself. I glued the guy on there, and that's a nail, and I got this flag from off the internet. And so I made this little guy have a flag like that, right? Because I thought that was cool. But normally what you get is you get that little tile there, and you can see the tile's got the same flag as this one does. Like they correspond, and they're all like that. Like here, I'll show you. Here's some of the American ones here. There's an American one with an American flag over there, and that guy corresponds to it. And then you've got the ships as well. They come with the longer tiles. And again, I glued a battleship onto them because I thought that looked cool. And you know, when you're like me, then you like to do things that look cool, right? This is how I play my game. So another thing, like say all these ships and we're all in the same place right here, right? Well, that's just a mess in there. I mean, how do you keep track of that, right? So again, you can use the task force marker, and you just put all this stuff on the task force marker. And then you put the task force marker off the side here, off to the side near you where you're sitting, and you just put that in there into C zone 111. So then they look at the flag there and they say, okay, that marker there represents the boats that have the same marker over here. So there, you looked at before how messy that was in there. Well, now you look, here we got this guy in there and this guy in there, and they're holding all these units over here. So those are task force markers. Now there's not just one set of them. Hang on a second, I'll just show you the web page. I'll just grab the computer. So these things, a set of them as low as $14.95, and then the big set is $29.95. Let me just show you though. I've got a whole bunch of those things. You can see where I've made up all those little dudes. You don't have to put those little dudes on there or the little boats. I don't even have the boats sitting up there, but you can see all those markers that are up there. I've got just tons of them, right? So I bought two sets, and I don't remember which sets I bought, but one of them was the big set that you'll see on here, the last set. One of them was this set right here. And here, let me see if I can just expand that a bit there. So there you can see it kind of distorts it when you do that. And there's a small set and there's a large set. So let's make them small again. So it just depends. Like there's just for land units. This one over here. This one is just for naval units. There's one just for land units. So what I did was I bought them there's another one for naval. I bought one, this one here has both. It has land and naval. And I think I bought this one just for land units. So I'm not sure though. Anyway, just this one here would be good. But it does help, especially in Europe here. Like you can see how crowded things are in Europe. And again, this is before the game has even started, so it could get more or less jammed with people in there, or pieces, if you will. Some territories will have tons on them, and other territories will have hardly anything. You know, it depends on where the front lines are, right? So, so that's something to consider is these task force markers. And so that, what did I say that was? Item number 21 or 20? I believe it's item number 21. Anyway, you'll see it in the bottom. They're called task force markers when you look in the thing. So there's a number of different task force marker sets that you can get, and that's from Historical Board Gaming, and these are in American prices. Okay, so item number 21 is going to be adjustable piece trays. In the box, they give you these boxes in there that you put all your pieces in from each nation, and you gotta flip around through them trying to look through. Oh, there's a plane, you know, like it can take a while, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So a lot of people, they get something to hold their pieces in, and there's a lot of different things that people use. Some people build tables, and they've got the piece little storage compartments right in them, right? And those are pretty cool. I haven't built a table, but this is what I use, and I'm not going to tell you where to get these, because these ones here I'm pretty sure you can only buy in Canada at Home Hardware, and these ones are great. I love these ones. But these are adjustable piece trays, so you can take these dividers out. Like here, you can see there's a missing divider here, and a missing divider here, and a missing one here, missing one here. Like I could put those dividers in if I want, but I've made these pockets bigger, right? And so everything has got its own little home, right? There's the Roundels in there, and there's all my different markers, you know, the convoys and the air bases, and I got my factories in here. And other things like I was talking about Historical Board Gaming and all different things. Look at that! It's a flaming, smoking thing. So when somebody damages your factory, you can put that beside the factory, and so your factory's on fire. You know, like there's all kinds of little things that you can buy at Historical Board Gaming there. But anyway, these piece trays are just great. And what I would recommend when you go to the hardware store, if you're looking for something like this, is something where the lid stays open like this. Like a lot of them, the lid just lays right flat down on the table, right? And I've got some of those too, but I don't use them anymore. I started using those, but they take up twice as much space. Like if you look here, then you would fold it all the way down, and so you look in it, and it would take up twice as much table space if you did that, right? So one that sits up like this, and then if you have cards, if you're using Young Grasshoppers cards or siredblood cards, you can put the cards up along here, and this is just something. It tells you how much to put on and stuff like that. This is something that I downloaded off of accessanallies.org for free. Everybody puts their stuff out for free, but you have to pay to get it done. You could print it on your own computer if you wanted, but I wanted to get it laminated and everything, so you know, there's all kinds of little things like that. But anyway, there's three different sizes of these things. There's a smaller size that I use for the 1914 game, and there's much fewer pieces in the 1914 game, so that's why I can get away with using a small one. But this big one is for Germany, because Germany has a lot of pieces. Russia has fewer pieces, so I'm just using a smaller one for Russia. That's the medium size there, and this is the big size. I was using all medium sizes for all of them, but then I started getting these flight stands, and I wanted more space in the flight stands. It looks like the thing is half empty right now, but that's because the board is set up right now. So there's a lot of German pieces that aren't in here. They're actually on the board right now. But anyway, these are pretty cool, and I would recommend you just go to a hardware store or a hobby store and look for them like this. You know, like they sell these things. You can put all your sewing stuff in them and things like that, right? More screws and nails and stuff like that. But anyway, that's what I'm using to put all my little pieces in. Then when I want to find an artillery, I just know it's right here. There's the artillery. There's the mechanized infantry. There's the tanks. They've all got their own little place. So anyway, that's portable storage containers. That's item number 21 from your local hardware store. Okay, so item number 21 is going to be custom infantry. Now this isn't something that I would recommend to people. Like if you're just getting this for somebody who just likes to play the game, then don't get these, because they don't come in the right color. So you got to paint them, and that's painstaking. Like you got to put the undercoat on, like the primer. And then you got to match the paint. You got to find a paint that looks like the right color, and you never get it quite right. Like this is the out of box color, and so that's pretty close. I actually got the Italian paint pretty close, but some of the other ones weren't as close. So I ended up not only painting my my infantry pieces that were could be green or some other color, right? That there's nothing even close, but I had to paint the rest of them because these ones were close to the same color. I didn't repaint all these pieces, the pieces that weren't infantry. But normally what happens, like in the game, is you get all the pieces and they look exactly the same. They're all standing in the same pose. Whereas if you buy these boxes of infantry, and Airfix is actually my least favorite, but there's a whole bunch of different brands. Airfix is just one of them. There's Caesar and there's Pegasus, and there's a lot of different ones. They are about $10 each for these boxes, and you get about 40 in them, but you can't use them all. Like you see this guy laying down there. Who wants a guy laying down on your Axis Knowledge game? Like you want guys standing upright, you know. So you can't use all of them in the box. Some of them, you know, they're rowing a boat or something like that. That's no good either. But I mean, there's enough in there that you can have a variety of custom infantry. But this has to, if you're going to do this though, this has to be something that you're willing to put a lot of work into, like a lot more even than the Flightstands, because there's a lot of painting to be done. There's a clear, you want to put a clear coat on top of them too, so to protect the paint as well, so it doesn't chip off and everything, right? So it's a lot of work, and it's only for somebody that is into the hobby. And you got to remember the paint is going to cost them more money and everything after that too. But I'm showing them to you anyway because a lot of people like the custom infantry that they see on my channel, and so I'll show them to you, and I'll show them the best place to get them. Like you can get a hobby store where you buy models and stuff like that. Like all I can find though is just the Airfix brand. That's why I got started on Airfix. I saw them in a hobby store, and then I went online, and there's this site here. It's called HobbyLink, hobbylink.com, and what you need to do, you want to make sure that you're getting 172 scale, because there's different sizes. If you get like a 132 scale or 135 scale, then they're way too big. These guys are exactly the same size as the pieces that we play Axis and Allies with. And you can also get World War I pieces. I haven't painted my World War I pieces yet, but I do have that World War I game. It's just, I don't play that game as often. But anyway, like you can see here, these are just World War II. You can buy them. I mean, like you can get Civil War and Revolutionary War and just about any kind of soldiers and things like that. But these are just the World War II ones. And you know, like you can go to whatever country you want. Like here, let's take a look at the United States here, and see here's all the different brands. Pegasus is probably the best brand that I've seen. Caesar Miniatures is another really good brand. But these are something that is something that the people are probably going to want to pick out themselves, because it takes a while to find just the right ones. Not all of these things are created the same, believe me. Some of them are crappier than others. There's some whole boxes of them that I bought that I don't use. And if you give somebody a gift certificate to this store, or you give them a prepaid Visa card because they wanted to buy custom infantry, and that's what I'm going to do. My mom is going to give me some money to buy stuff, and I don't have all the infantry that I want, and so like here's my card up here. These are the ones that I'm buying. I'll show you here. See, and I'm waiting to buy them. I've got my cart here, and when I get my Christmas present, I think whether it's a Visa card or whatever she gives me, maybe it's a gift certificate, then I will come and I will finish my order off. But that's what I'm getting. So this is something, and like I said, it's going to cost more money after that, because they got to buy paint and stuff like that. And there's But it is neat. I don't know if you noticed it on my board or if you just noticed a whole bunch of pieces on there, but I got lots of different kinds of infantry there rather than just one style for the British and one style for the American and one style for the Germans. They're all different poses and everything. There's a lot of work, but it was something that I love to do. And so it's got to be a hobby to somebody, not just a game. To me, it's a hobby and a game. And so that's why I did it. Anyway, so that is item number 21, custom infantry from HobbyLink. You can get a gift certificate from HobbyLink, or you can get that prepaid Visa card and they can pay that way. Or you can just give them some cash. Say, go to HobbyLink and buy your own. It's up to you. Anyway, so that is custom infantry.
All right then. I don't know if you can tell, but my house is a lot darker now. I started that video this morning. It takes a long time to make these videos. I don't know if people know how much work goes into them, but it's dark out now, and that's so anyway. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that it was informative and that it helps you out. It's better than going out on Black Friday and getting trampled, right? I mean, unless you like that sort of thing. If you like going out and getting into fights with people, then Black Friday's in. You go to the store, go to Walmart. But otherwise, you can just sit at home at your computer and you can order these things, and most of them anyway. So I hope that was informative, and there are other things too, but the things that I showed you are the I don't know if most popular things is the right thing. I'd say most necessary things. And you don't need any of that. You can just buy those boxes of games that you've seen in the beginning of the video, and you can play the game right out of the box like that. The other things that I showed you are just something that makes the game so much nicer, you know. And I know, like, I've got lots of kids and people that I buy presents for, and sometimes you just rack your brains on trying to figure out what to get this person, you know, like you think they got everything, but some of these things are the kind of things that you don't really think of because you don't participate in that game or that hobby with them. So these are some good ideas. If they don't have some of these things, then hopefully you got some ideas here, and hopefully they gave you, they'll tell you that they want number 13 War Torn's Flightstands. I'm looking at the page over there. So if they want 13, they better tell you right away, and you better watch that video right away because like I said, there might only be 6 of those before Christmas. There will be more after, but he's got a life, and so he can only make up so many of them. But yeah, so there's lots of items there. What is there? 21 items that I gave you, um, and and like I said, you can contact me if you'd like. Um, you go to the About section in the front page of my channel there, and there's a link down there that if you can't find it, just type it into the search bar, how to private message somebody, and it'll tell you how to do it. I had to do that so that I could tell you how to private message. I've got messages before, but I just click on them, right? I didn't know how to send one. So anyway, that you can do that to see how to send private messages, but it's in the About section, and you can send me a message and I'll help you out any way I can, answer any more of your questions or whatever. So anyway, uh, to you and to your family, I wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. I know I'm going to have a good Christmas this year, and I hope that you do too. I'm sure that your little war gamer there is going to have a wonderful Christmas if you get him some of these items. Okay, take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.